myself Ujjwal Chopra, and this is the first video of my new series, My Understanding of Our Universe. Just a disclaimer, I'm not an expert but a space enthusiast and want to share a few of my findings with you. So, the topic of today is day and night sky. We'll also talk about how many stars do we have in the universe and why can't we see them in the night sky? Why can't we see any star during day sky? What are different phases of the moon? Why moon appears sometimes during the day, sometimes during night? So we'll talk about all this today. Let's get started. So first thing is, let me give you some background. So Milky Way galaxy, which is our own galaxy, we have a solar system. Solar system resides in one of the spirals of Milky Way galaxy. We'll talk more about Milky Way galaxy in another video. But the sequence is, let's consider the sequence of from starting from the smallest to the biggest. So one of the smallest objects are asteroids. uh, Asteroids are smaller than moons. Moons is smaller than planets, although some moons are greater than planets, but not the planet they are rotating about. Okay. uh, So, for example, some of the moons of Jupiter and Saturn are bigger than Mercury, but the moons of Jupiter and Saturn are not greater than Jupiter and Saturn itself. Okay, so that was the point. So, the smallest ones are asteroids is smaller than moons, moons smaller than planets smaller than solar systems, or we can say stars are smaller than galaxies. Galaxy is smaller than universe. There are also theories about multiverse, but we won't talk about that. So our own Milky Way galaxy has 100 billion stars, which is close to 10,000 crore stars. Now that's the number of stars in just one galaxy. Our galaxy is not the biggest one. Estimated number of galaxies in the entire universe is 2 trillion, which is close to 2 lakh crores. So the total estimate of stars, you can take averages, is like 100 billion times 2 trillion. So that is the amount of stars that are there in the universe. But why don't we see any star in the night sky? Where are all these stars? So the answer to that question is light pollution. So we live mostly in cities where there are many light sources, and it's all relative. So let's take an example. Put a bulb, take two bulbs, one is smaller in size, the other one is bigger in size, let's say 10x bigger than the smaller one. Put the smaller bulb close to your eyes and put the bigger bulb like 100 200 meters away from you. Now glow both the bulbs. You'll observe that the one which is closest to the eye is the one which appears dominant between the two, and you'll hardly be able to recognize the other one. So that's the point. There are many stars in the universe. There are also light sources that are human made on our planet, which can be from any uh, illuminating source. So those are kind of restricting us from seeing the actual night sky. So there are a couple of reasons why we can't see those many number of stars during daytime. uh, Due to the sun proximity, we can't see any stars. So there are sunlight coming in, then we have our atmosphere. Mostly blue light is scattered, so we see uh, blue sky during daytime. Um, so sun is the reason why we don't see stars during day. During night, although we are out of the region where sunlight is being incident upon the earth, so during night time, the reason why we don't see stars is light pollution. Uh, and just a fact, the sun is not the biggest stars. The biggest stars as of date is UY Scuti, which is roughly 1700 times bigger than our own sun. So those are very big stars, but those stars are far away. So that's why we can't see them as clearly as we can see our own sun. Okay, so moving on, talking about the night sky and night pollution, light pollution. So the upcoming slides will show you different levels of light pollution starting from 8 to 1, where 1 is the minimum amount of light pollution uh, among the 8 levels. So let's start. And the upcoming slides will kind of show you how clearly you can see night sky if there was no pollution. Okay, so these videos are taken from National Geographic. This is level 8. This is what you see uh, if you live in a city. You can barely see any stars. There are merely few stars that you can see here, but these are like negligible as compared to the total star we just saw. The estimated number of total stars is like 100 billion times one or two trillions. That is the amount of stars. But you can only see a few. This level 8. There's lots of illuminating sources on Earth that are restricting us from seeing the stars. Now this is level 7. So you need to move away and away from the city area into a darker region where there's less light sources around you to see night sky more clearly. This is level 7. You can see a lot more stars. This is level 6. You can see further more stars in the night sky, and most of these stars that you see are still uh, in our own galaxy. So these stars are closest to us because they are lying in our own Milky Way galaxy. So these would be the brightest because of the distance as compared to the other stars which are in other galaxy. So you can still see stars, but these are stars in our own galaxy. Now this is level 5, and you can slowly start seeing our own galaxy plane. This region here, it's very beautiful, and this is the plane of our Milky Way galaxy. Then this is level 4. You can see more and more stars, not even in from our galaxy, but from the galaxies from our from the local cluster. So local cluster is basically the galaxy around our own galaxy. So they form a local cluster, and from those galaxies you'll start seeing more and more stars. Now as you go into the next level, level 3, 2, 1, you'll even start seeing more and more stars from the other galaxies which are not even close to our own galaxy. So you can see this is how densely populated the stars are, but you can barely see them. This is the beauty of night sky, which can only be observed from a very remote location away from the city area, and that is why light pollution is hindering us from thinking about a universe, because we can't see the universe clearly as we live in cities. So that might have answered the first question, why we can't see stars during day and night. Day is dominated by the sun, night time is dominated by the light pollution. So that answers our first part of the video, which was why we can't see stars in the night sky and day sky. Now the second question is about the moon. So some facts about moon is moon completes one orbit around the earth in 28 days. Earth completes one rotation about its axis in 24 hours, which is close to one day. And you'll be surprised to know that half of the number of days, that is 14 days or roughly 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks you see the moon during day sky for most of the times, whereas for the remaining 14 days or remaining 2 weeks of its orbit you see moon during night sky. So we kind of tend to relate sun with the daytime and moon with the nighttime, but that's not always true. For 50% of the cases or 50% of the time you see moon during day. So if you take a year long, or for a month for example, half number of days of the month you see moon during daytime. So you can't associate moon with night always. It appears during day as well, and that is just because of the positioning of earth, moon and sun. You'll get more clarity as we look at one of the uh, websites where you can clearly see earth, moon and the sunlight coming in, and visualize these objects in 3 dimensions for better clarity. We'll move to that website. I'll put a link in the description as well. So let's go to that website quickly. So the website name is earthspacelab.com. It's a very nice website which gives you the flexibility to look at different angles, observe moon, earth and their rotation by these filters. So there's a filter for moon rotation, there's a filter for earth rotation, there's a there are a few other filters as well. You can also observe moon phases if you turn this on in this image or in this small box in the top left corner, and you can specify the number of days for example here. So uh, let's look at few of the phases of the moon, starting off with the new moon. So new moon, by the way, the sun is somewhere uh, down to the bottom in this image. This is you can think of it as a top view of the plane of our solar system. So sun is in the bottom here. Sunlight is coming from this direction, uh, and you can see its incident on earth and moon. Now one thing you need to keep in mind is you lie on the circumference of the earth, so you will see objects only that lie in the horizon. Horizon is basically a tangent that you can draw on the surface of the earth. So if you're located at this point for example, and then the horizon for you would be 0 and 180 degree to that point. That's roughly the horizon for most places, unless there are tall buildings or obstacles in between. So assuming there's a 0 to 180 degree of horizon, you can only see regions of the space that lie in that horizon, not beyond. And that is why as earth rotates, you kind of see sunset, sunrise, moonset, moonrise for example. It's nothing but the rotation of the earth. So let's start the rotation of earth, and now let's visualize what we are seeing. So you need to look radially outwards from the earth. So this is what we see during new moon. Now let's jump ahead and go to crescent moon, which would be like 3 or 4 days after the new moon. So when moon is roughly here, which this is a crescent moon, uh, so you can see some portion of the moon which is illuminated. That's again because of the positioning. Let's go to the point of view from our perspective, and this is what you will see. So if you rotate the plane, this is what you will see, and this is shown in this image as well. Now moving ahead, we go to 7 days. This is roughly 1/4 of the circle. You'll see close to half moon. By the way, you can also define which region you're located in from this section. I'm in northern hemisphere, so I'll select north hemisphere. Uh, Moving on, this is 7 days. Then we move on to this half moon, by the way. Then we move on to gibbous moon, which would be roughly around 11 days. Let's say 10 days from now. This is gibbous moon, and again, if we go to the point of view from Earth, this is what you'll see. Some portion of the Earth of the moon is non-illuminated, which is appearing in darker color here. Then we move on to 14 days, which is roughly half of the rotation uh, half of the orbit time of the moon, and you see the full moon. This is because the sun is lying to the opposite side of the moon, and the entire face which is illuminated is visible to us. So this is full moon. And then the phases repeat for this portion. We go back to gibbous moon, half moon, crescent moon, and then again new moon. So now the question or the point that I raised earlier was, for half of the time moon appears during day. That's because if the moon lies in the bottom part of this orbit, which means when both moon and sun are on the same side of the earth, then the moon appears during daytime. For example, if you're located somewhere here, let's stop the earth rotation. Let's assume you're located somewhere here, and we are in a phase where moon is in this lower half of the orbit. Let's assume 25 days, for instance. So in this region, you will observe that sun is at the bottom, so sun and moon both are on the bottom side of this orbit, or of the earth. So you will see moon during daytime in this region. On the other hand, if the moon is in one of the top regions, you'll see it during night time because of earth's rotation, because moon is on the other side and sun on the other side of the earth. So sun appears during daytime and moon appears during nighttime. So it's as simple as that. Moon should not be associated with night sky. It appears half of the time during day and half of the time during night. So that was one point I wanted to highlight. So that's all I had from this video. Hope you liked it. If you did, put a like and let me know all your suggestions. If there are any improvement, I'll be happy to do that. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.